Canada and Zimbabwe have maintained diplomatic ties for more than 4 decades, with cooperation spanning governance, development, and people-to-people exchange. That foundation continues to guide how both countries work together in 2026. Welcome to the Diplomat Couch. I am your host, Osli Matsikenyeri. And on today's episode, we have the pleasure of sitting down on the couch with the Ambassador of Canada to Zimbabwe, His Excellency Mr. Adler Aristilde. Welcome to the Diplomat Couch.
Good morning, Osli. Thank you for having me on your couch today. We had been talking about this for some time. I'm glad we get to do it in the end and to talk about Canada-Zimbabwe bilateral relations.
And it's a very timeous time as well, as Canada co-hosts the FIFA World Cup.
Excellent, and I can't wait to get into that when we reach that point.
But firstly, Your Excellency, how would you characterize the Canada-Zimbabwe relations today, and what areas are we seeing most constructive dialogue between the two nations?
It's a long-standing relationship that has been going strong for 46 years, as you mentioned in your intro. It is characterized by mutual respect. It's a respectful, constructive, and forward-looking engagement that we have been able to maintain, and we will continue. Both countries want a focused and a relationship that delivers results, and that's what we're working on. And with the Africa strategy that came out last year in 2025, we are seeing increased engagement on economic cooperation and business relationships, and that will continue, but overall a relationship that has maintained a positive and constructive dialogue between Canada and Zimbabwe for all this time.
And what would you say are the shared values and interests that have anchored this relationship between the two nations?
Lots of mutual respect and inclusive development focus. So mutual respect, what I mean by that is we want the best for Zimbabwe. At the same time, we don't get to determine what is the best from Zimbabwe. The Zimbabwe government, the electorate, the institutions, the citizenry, the civil society, together get to determine what that is, and we observe and we take note and we engage with the reality of what happens. We want to be helpful, and we're here to support Zimbabwe in the direction that they want to go. Inclusive development means, Canada values a lot, human rights, democracy, gender equality, and sustainable growth that includes everyone. And those are the areas where our interventions mostly focus. And Zimbabwe has also clearly indicated that's the aspiration they have for their own development. So we're here to support that.
And beyond the official diplomacy and the shared values that you have just outlined, how is Canada strengthening the people-to-people connections with Zimbabwe?
People-to-people connection is the anchor of our relationship with Zimbabwe. Canada supports academic exchanges between the countries. We give support to young people to contribute to Zimbabwe's development and innovation. More and more students are going to Canada for post-secondary education, and those graduates, most of them come back to contribute to Zimbabwe's development. We see more and more of that. I have daughters, twin daughters who just graduated from Harare International Schools, and a lot of their classmates have made the choice to go to Canada for their post-secondary studies. That is happening because Canadian universities have been coming here to recruit for many years now, And also, Canadian education is known to be of excellent quality, very practical, very applicable to realities in the world. And so that's one area. We partner with a lot of civil society organizations directly, working with community organizations. So that gives us entry points to work with people and build those people-to-people ties, and cultural exchanges, between Canadian and Zimbabwean artists, singers, all artists at all levels, and sports. Last year, Canada's cricket team. Many people don't know that Canada has a cricket team. We do, and they came here and played a series against the Zimbabwean cricket team at the stadium. I went to spend time with them and take pictures with them. Zimbabwe's rugby team is going to Canada in a few weeks to play in the Rugby Nations Cup, and they will be playing Canada on July 19 in Winnipeg, and that will be at the end of the FIFA Men's World Cup. So we have more and more of those people-to-people connections, building and developing and delivering for Canada and Zimbabwe.
No, I'm sure our viewers are very glad for this insight on the people-to-people connections that we have with Canada. And when we come back in the second segment, we're going to talk about trade between Canada and Zimbabwe. So join us in the second segment of the Diplomat Couch. Welcome back to the second segment of today's episode of the Diplomat Couch, where we are sitting down with the Ambassador of Canada to Zimbabwe, His Excellency Adler Aristilde. Before we went on a break, we were talking about people-to-people connections, but now we are moving on to trade between the two nations. Back in 2024, Canada signaled it was ready to deepen trade and investment in Zimbabwe, especially in mining. Your Excellency stated that at the Canada African Business Conference in Harare. And Zimbabwe's minerals play an important role in global supply chain, including in Canada. How can Canada and Zimbabwe work together to ensure this trade benefits communities in Zimbabwe while meeting Canada's sourcing standards?
Maybe I'll start with the second part of the question. Indeed, both Canada and Zimbabwe have incredible natural wealth. Canada has the second largest oil reserves in the world. We have the largest potash reserves in the world, and that represent 17% of our gross domestic product and 70% of our goods exports. So really, the Canadian economy is mainly based on natural resource extraction and value addition, etc. And Zimbabwe is more or less in the same situation. Zimbabwe has the largest lithium reserves in the world, alongside DRC, but a lot more is happening here at this time on lithium. So clearly, Canada and Zimbabwe can work a lot together and learn from each other in terms of natural resource extraction and exploitation to make it work for our population, not just for those companies that are making money. And we have several mining companies here in Zimbabwe, mostly in gold exploration and distribution. We could have more because Canada has a lot of expertise, and we have a lot of mining companies in the region. We have more in West Africa, And we need to find ways to increase the number of Canadian businesses in Zimbabwe. But global mining companies, they need and want certainty. They want a competitive environment. They want a level playing field. They want predictability and stability in the rules of the game. And with improvements in those areas, I think we will see more international companies, big businesses come here from a range of countries, not just a few countries, to do business with Zimbabwe, and that will include many Canadian companies. And those are the things we mentioned to Zimbabwean government and ZEDA when they ask us about, why are we seeing more Canadian companies here. You mentioned the business conference we hosted in October 2024. It was a tremendous success. We had 25 Canadian companies come to explore business opportunities in Zimbabwe and see with their own eyes the potential we keep talking about. And they receive presentations from the Minister of Finance, Mr. Mutuli. ZEDA's Tafadzwa Chinamo came, make a presentation to them, lots of business-to-business discussions. They went on a trip to Zimplatz to see the operations there. And they were quite impressed. And, we anticipated there would be follow through from that more quickly. But I was really surprised that there haven't been mega deals being signed since then. In reality, we're not all that surprised because business relationships and partnerships, they take time to develop. There is a fill-out period to begin, then there is the trust building between Canadian companies and their Zimbabwean partners, and they're looking at the rules of the game to see how the economic environment for investment is improving, and then they make their plans over a long period of time. The seed has been planted in our minds. Even if it's not right away, there will be more results coming in the next few years.
Your Excellency, when you're talking about the natural reserves in Canada, I couldn't help but pick, you talked about value addition. So when it comes to the mining sector in Zimbabwe as well, value addition is something that has been spoken about a lot, especially when it comes to lithium. Are there any opportunities that you see to support local value addition for Zimbabwe? And what role can Canada play in that? What can we learn from Canada?
Lots of opportunities. Because the Canadian investment model prioritizes win-win partnerships and in local value addition and beneficiation. That's the ethics of Canadian companies doing business in the world, whether it's around mining or beyond mining. So at home, when we exploit national resources in communities, especially in indigenous communities, there is a strong effort to ensure that populations benefit. And we're not just talking about small corporate social responsibility initiatives where you build a small school for the son and daughters of employees and some neighbors, and then you leave it at that. You do a lot more than that. You make it part of the integral business development and the integral development of the country. And we can help in bringing lessons from that to Zimbabwe. We can bring more ethical companies into Zimbabwean mining operations and mining business, and create partnerships where we can do that. And there's a lot of beyond large companies that could come and do business. We also have services and service council, advisory that could come, even if it's not a Canadian company doing the business. They could hire a company like H.E to advise on how best to maximize value addition, how to build the infrastructure needed to do it, because it's one thing to say we'd like to have more value addition and community beneficiation next year. Well, do we have the infrastructure in place for that to happen? Do we have the trained workers and the innovators that we need to be able to do it here? And of course, every country wants to see their natural resources benefit their own population. That's the main reason why we do it, because there are significant environment complications that can come with that. If people are not benefiting on top of it, there's a big loss of environment capital, but also a big loss of economic opportunity. And so we're here to help in that area in the ways we can.
And when we come back in the third segment, we are going to discuss where you see outside agriculture and mining, which areas have the biggest potential of expanding trade between Canada and Zimbabwe. Join us in the third and final segment of the Diplomat Couch. Welcome back. This is the third and final segment of the Diplomat Couch, where we have the Ambassador of Canada to Zimbabwe, His Excellency Mr. Adler Aristilde, joining us. And just before the break, we were talking about mining and trade between the two nations. But beyond agriculture and mining, Your Excellency, where do you see the biggest potential for expanding trade between the two nations?
There is just as much potential in other areas, and I speak to three of them. The first one is energy. Canada is a powerhouse, to make a pun, in terms of solar power, wind power, hydroelectricity, and other areas of energy. So both renewable and oil and gas and all that. So for solar power in particular, your country is blessed with, in terms of climate, in terms of sunlight throughout the year. So it's a no-brainer how much potential there is in developing solar power energy in Zimbabwe. Canadian companies have tremendous expertise in that area, and cost of equipment have come down significantly. And we do see solar panels in all around the country, but I think we can do it on much larger scale, and connect everything to the grid and power Zimbabwe in a way that's never been done before. And we have solar companies in the region already. JCM Power is in Malawi, producing close to 15% of Malawi's electricity already. They're exploring here whether there is potential to sign an agreement with Zimbabwe. They are in Namibia. They're about to sign an agreement in Mozambique. They're already in the region. This should be easy. I know a lot of solar companies are also present here, but people are already doing business with Zimbabwe. We could bring the business and expand the business in Zimbabwe. ICT is another area. Canadian companies have tons of solutions that can be applied to support telecommunications, to digitalize industries, to improve citizen connectivity throughout the country, and do it for business, do it for private, for households, and really change the way that we operate. Everybody's on WhatsApp, but you could do a lot more with connectivity and broadband that is a lot more developed. So we could help in that area. We have companies with significant experience and capacity to deliver. And the other one is tourism. So a lot of people come to Vic Falls. We could have more people coming to Vic Falls, and especially Canadians. And when they come to Vic Falls, we expose them to other things in Zimbabwe. Taking them to mana pools, to Wange, to Chimanimani, and Nyanga, and Matopo's Great Zimbabwe. There's so much to see and discover and learn about Zimbabwe. Coming here and having that kind of weather when people are freezing in Canada during our very rigid winters, this could be a place that they come and see and relax and compare Niagara Falls and Victoria Falls as we all love to do. And I'm not going to tell you which one I think is better. But I will admit that Victoria Falls is more impressive because it's over a larger space, and when you go at peak water production in, say, May and June, it's extraordinary.
Thank you.
So, and I've been too many times because every visitor that comes to Zimbabwe, I try to bring them to Vic Falls so they can see for themselves. Thank
you for saying that, Your Excellency. And when it comes to development cooperation with Zimbabwe, you focused on practical support in health, education, infrastructure, gender equality, and climate resilience. A flagship initiative is the Choice Program, which you've delivered in partnership with Oxfam. It empowers women, girls, adolescents. What gaps in Zimbabwe's health landscape is it designed to address, and how has it worked on the ground?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Osli, for asking that, because we've been talking a lot about economic cooperation and business, but Canada is still quite active in terms of development assistance, working with multilateral organizations, multilateral agencies, but also working with Canadian organizations that have local partners here and doing a great job. So Oxfam Canada working with Oxfam Zimbabwe to deliver this particular program. And we, the gaps we're trying to address is mostly in terms of access to accurate information for young people. There is a lack of it out there, and with information being there's a lot of information out there, but how much of it is accurate, is useful, is usable for young people. So we're working with the Choice Project to deliver that. We're supporting safe spaces for vulnerable people, women who suffer from all sorts of abuse, including sexual violence, and we're working on sexual health and reproduction issues.
And lastly, the FIFA World Cup 2026. Canada is co-hosting it. How can sport, such large global events, be leveraged to advance gender equality, youth empowerment, and health education, not only in Zimbabwe, but globally?
I'm so glad you're asking this, because I feel like I've been working this entire time. And now we can talk about something that's not work for me, because I'm a big soccer, we call it soccer in North America, big football fan. My favorite Saturday afternoon is sitting down on my couch, not here, or in a different couch, and watching Premier League games on Saturdays and Sundays when I can, and Champions League during the week, during the evening. So I have, I'm particularly excited about the World Cup, and I'm even taking a week off to be able to take more advantage of watching games late at night, because those games will be at 9 p.m. in Harare or later. And so if I'm watching at 3 a.m., I don't want to have to go to work the next morning. So that's how excited I am about the World Cup personally. Now, for Canada, we're extremely proud to be co-hosting the 2026 Men's World Cup. We've hosted the Women's World Cup in years past, but this is our first time being a co-host of the Men's World Cup. We also, we're the first time that 3 countries are hosting the World Cup. And it's an expanded World Cup with 48 countries, so more excitement around the globe on this World Cup. And also 10 African teams participating. Zimbabwe is not there, unfortunately, but the World Cup belongs to everyone, and everyone gets into it. So Canada is taking this as an opportunity to showcase our communities, our culture, to show how welcoming we can be, to show how excited we are to welcome the world to our cities. We're hosting in 2 major cities, Toronto and Vancouver, and we're building an entire infrastructure of fun and for people to for traveling fans to be able to enjoy the Cup. I will be following very closely, and I hope every Zimbabwean will also be following closely during the World Cup and see what happens. I have, we're pulling for Canada, obviously. We're playing in a pool with Qatar, Bosnia-Herzegovina, and Switzerland. Hopefully, we get to go to the next round and qualify for the second round of the competition.
We are all looking forward to the World Cup, Your Excellency, and thank you for joining us on the Diplomat Couch and showing us how Canada and Zimbabwe's partnership is translating into real outcomes in the different sectors of the economy. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Asli, for having me, and let me also thank you and Diplomat Media for this opportunity to speak directly to Zimbabweans. In fact, I want to thank you for the awards I received in March. One for Diplomat of the Year representing the Americas, and Diplomat of the Year overall in Zimbabwe for this year. I am extremely grateful. I want to thank Diplomat Media and every member of the company for seeing the work, for being, for taking this initiative. They're very encouraging to our staff. And so I will be leaving Zimbabwe at the end of this year. And I'm extremely grateful for the time I've had here. And I look forward to taking full advantage of the few months that I have left. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And to our viewers, thank you for joining us on today's episode of the Diplomat Couch. Goodbye.